In American society, money is a taboo topic. We're taught at a young age it's improper to talk about it, but we're also bombarded with messages about the power and importance of money in our everyday lives. And by not talking about it, we miss out on the skills and lessons we need to effectively understand and financially plan. That changes today. Welcome to Money Tales. Hosted by Sandy Brager and Cami Doder, Money Tales brings more than 35 years of combined professional experience in personal finance to demystify money and demonstrate what it's like to speak openly about personal financial matters. Join us each episode as they interview modern-day movers and shakers about how money decisions intertwine with their daily lives in order to give you better insight into productive financial conversations. Subscribe today and register for our blog Fathom at aspiriant.com/podcasts to increase your money mojo. And now, here's Cami and Sandy.
This week on Money Tales, Nina Israel is our guest. Earlier in her career, Nina found herself juggling two roles at a company, accounting and HR. As she tells us, her salary seemed fair until the company brought on a new hire to take on the HR function. Nina was astonished to discover that he was being paid twice Nina's salary for doing half the job she had been doing. Nina became aware of the new hire's salary because she was the one managing payroll. Nina confronted the CEO head on. As a result, the company did a thorough analysis of everyone's salaries, uncovering disparities that had gone unchecked between longer tenured employees and newer hires. As a result of Nina's bravery, fairness prevailed. The company rectified the pay inequities, and employees received the compensation they deserved. From that moment on, Nina vowed never to remain silent in the face of injustice. Today, Nina is the founder of Tenured Financial. She's deeply dedicated to financial education and uses a holistic approach to help small business owners gain financial clarity, increase their fiscal knowledge, and develop new confidence when it comes to their numbers. She believes that learning finance should be easy and, more importantly, fun.
Here are three key money topics Nina hits on in this conversation. First, how when a child continually hears messages like, "We don't have money for this," or "We can't afford that," the child may begin to believe that they are not worth the money. Second, how having open and honest money conversations is freeing. And third, how realizing her dream of owning a beach house meant Nina getting out of her financial comfort zone and how the resulting sense of joy was well worth it. We hope you share this episode with a friend, and please subscribe to Money Tales on your favorite podcast platform. Now on to our conversation with Nina Israel.
Welcome to the Money Tales podcast. This is Cami Doder.
And I'm Sandy Brager. Cami, as you know, in the work that we do with our clients, we put together a comprehensive long-term financial plan. What we're doing is we're modeling out the client's financial future, looking at their resources today, what are their assets and their liabilities, what are their sources of cash and their uses of cash, modeling in all their goals that they want to achieve over time. Those are usually spending goals or giving goals. We do all of this to paint a long-term picture to figure out, does the client have all the resources today or with some of the assumptions we're making about the future to achieve everything they want to achieve?
Such good stuff.
When that all works out, it's beautiful and it's exciting and we celebrate. There are often times when the plan doesn't work out.
You mean that there's not enough money to meet the goals?
Yep, there's just not enough resources. When that shortfall happens, varies. It's all dependent upon the individual circumstances at hand. The cool thing about the model is it helps us help the client understand when that time might be when they could run out of resources. When they're short on resources, when anyone's short on resources, it's not special to our clients. Everyone out there can have a financial plan prepared for them. When someone is short on resources, when their plan doesn't look like it's going to work, there are three ways to solve. One is choose an investment rate of return that's bigger. So make that investment portfolio that tends to carry the plan forward. Assume that it's going to have a higher return so that there's more oomph there. Sometimes that's a good assumption to make. Sometimes that can be a really scary one, especially if the person already has a highly aggressive portfolio. Having a higher return expectation might not be achievable, and it could certainly dial up some risk. Another way to solve is to assume that there's less spending than is desired. Cut back on lifestyle expenses now, cut out a particular spending goal that's going to happen in the future. And that's the most common way to solve a plan that doesn't work. The third way to solve a plan that doesn't work is to increase the income expectations. Assume that the person is going to do more within their career or within their different resources that they have access to generate more income. The reason why I bring this all up is because I was working with a client whose plan didn't work. She's someone who had to step away from her career for a couple of decades because of other family obligations. She's now back in the career world, and she has a lifestyle that she does not want to cut back on. She is committed to the lifestyle. She's taking sufficient risk with her portfolio, and she wants to solve. So she is out there looking for creative ways to make more money, and she's been doing it. And it's been so exciting to see the pride, because oftentimes people assume it's easier to cut back on spending than it is to increase income. That's not true. That's a limiting belief. This client proved it.
It's really limiting.
And it's been thrilling to work with her. And she wasn't able to solve it day one. She had to get creative, but she kept iterating. What's working? What's not working? But she's there.
Oh my gosh, Sandy, what a fun story. And I'm curious, is this someone who's got multiple income streams? Is she doing different things?
She does have some assets that produce income, but her main source of income is her employment, and she started her own business.
Oh, great. I didn't know she was doing different things.
She's been very entrepreneurial, and she's had to play around with different models for how she charges her clients for the work that she provides.
Oh man, this is a great story with a great outcome.
To cut to the chase here, she went from more of an hourly model to a retainer model, and it's made her life much more easy because she's not having to keep track of her hours and do billing quite so much. And she's been able to really target the amount of income she wants to earn during the year, how much she's going to charge her clients for it, and therefore how many clients she needs to target to work with during the course of a year.
That's so powerful. These are math equations, not always easy to solve for the different variables. I also appreciate by you talking about retainer versus hourly brings up a lot of conversations we've had on Money Tales about valuing your time. And is it really just the time that's of value, or you bring so much more than your time?
That's right. A lot of experience and wisdom.
This is great. Curious if our guest today has any insights here. Let's pivot and welcome Nina Israel. It's fantastic to be talking with you today on Money Tales.
Wonderful to be here. Thank you. I do have insight. Sandy, please make sure that this fabulous client knows that now she started her own business. There's a bunch of tax write-offs that she will be eligible for that she wouldn't have been eligible for as an employee.
There's a lot of really great planning opportunities that we've been helping her out with. You're right, Nina. And also on the retirement planning side, too. A lot of people don't really take that into consideration. So good thoughts there.
Absolutely. So, Nina, would you introduce yourself? And in doing so, share a couple pivotal moments that have taken place that really influenced you.
My name is Nina Israel, and I am the founder of Tenured Financial. Tenured Financial is a company that is focused on financial wellness for its clients. And this is why I love what you ladies are doing, because there's so much that's involved with our relationship with money. I work with clients on the business side because I feel that that relationship with money does show up in the business. So to answer your second question, pivotal moments, I will say the first pivotal moment was my father passing away when I was 11 years old. Suddenly, he was only 38. I don't know if it's my imagination, but it feels like back then, and maybe it's because it happened to me, but it didn't happen often. It was big when somebody that young passes away so suddenly. From that moment on, nothing was the same. Another pivotal moment would be when I decided to move across the continent because I switched countries on my own, which basically Jewish girls from Montreal didn't do that. So it was very pivotal because basically changed the course of my life. And then the third pivotal moment would have been when I made a large purchase that normally I would not have made. And I would have just kept saying, oh, I'm going to do this one day. I'm going to do this one day. And then one day I decided to actually do it. I decided, you know what? You're an adult. So if you want to do it, do it. And I did it. And it empowered me and made me feel wonderful.
Oh, I like hearing a wonderful feeling. Very sorry to hear about your father passing at such a young age.
Yes, thank you.
We love going back to talk about when our guests were young because what we learn then can influence for good or for bad. Would you share how you learned about money and when money started having meaning to you when you were young?
As a young child, I don't remember money conversations necessarily when my dad was alive. It seemed like there was money. We didn't have to worry about money. And as a child, I actually used to play banker, where I'd have my little cash till and you'd be coming and I was the teller. And I associated money with fun, apparently. And then after he passed away, because he was the breadwinner, my mom stayed home and raised myself and my sister. So as soon as that flipped, I never played bank ever again. The switch flipped. It was all of a sudden, oh, what are we going to do? How are we going to live? Where is the money going to come from? The phrase that I heard so much after that was, we don't have the money for that. Oh, Nina, we can't afford that.
Was there open conversation between your mom, you and your sister about money, aside from hearing that message over and over again?
No, not at all. And this is a big reason I do what I do, because as a child, it seemed like certain things that were purchased, I couldn't understand why we didn't have the money for that, but we had the money for this. There was a disconnect there, and it wasn't discussed. It was basically, you're the child. What that helps me understand that I'll see is that when it comes to owning a business, running a business, often that whole mentality comes with you. Because when a child keeps hearing, we don't have the money for that, we can't afford that, all of a sudden, to me, I believe that the child believes that they're not worth the money. And then I think as they grow up, they believe they cannot charge for what they offer. So when you were saying about your client with having this retainer and really what is the value that she's providing, it's like if you grow up in a house where you're being told we can't afford it and you now feel you're not worth it, how are you supposed to go out and charge the value you're truly providing? Plus, how are you supposed to have a conversation about pricing if you've never talked about money in your home, if it was a forbidden topic? Because of these experiences I had when I was young, I don't want people to have that.
Tell us, Nina, how did you work through this? So this was the messaging. This is your feeling. It seems like you're on the other side of it.
This was the messaging. I was angry.
I do want to hear about the angry part, though.
I was angry because it wasn't fair. My friends could do things. My friends could travel Europe and backpack and take off for a summer, with college, but I had to work because I had to pay for school. I had to pay for this. So it was very different. So for a while, yeah, as a kid, you're immature, you're angry. You're like, why can't I do that? It's not fair. It's not fair. Why did my dad have to die? You're angry. But in my early 20s, I stopped and I thought about it and I said, yeah, you know what? It sucks, but I have a choice to make. I can either blame my parents for the rest of my life and the circumstances, or I can take responsibility and realize my life is my responsibility and what I want to change and what I want to do and how I want to react and how I want to live is my decision. And I chose to make it my decision and take responsibility.
That's powerful. Nina, besides making this decision, so at that point in your life, you were working, you were independent. How did you start to get comfortable with your own value and the money that you were starting to earn, how did you even identify with money at that point?
I never used my net worth to justify my self-worth. I just took what people would pay me. Like I worked, I had my jobs. Here's your salary. Okay. I was great at budgeting. I was great at managing money. So it worked. It always just worked. But I remember one time, one position where I was doing two jobs. I was doing like accounting and HR, and I had a salary, which was fine. I was working. And then they brought in someone to specialize in HR, and it was a male. And I don't know if this had anything to do with it, but his salary for doing half my job was twice my salary.
Whoa, how'd you find that out?
Because I was accounting. So I'm in charge of payroll.
Oh, of course. Oh my gosh.
So that being said, I went to the CEO of the company and I started the conversation saying, I understand that we are having a conversation because I am privy to information given my position. I don't know if I can say the next line that came out of my mouth though, but I guess you could be. Because basically I said, what you just showed me is that having a penis is worth $50,000 to this company. And he was, I guess surprised would be a nice way to say it, but it was, what are you going to do about it? And what happened from that was that they did a full analysis of everyone's salary in that entire company. What they had found is that people who came in earlier, a lot of them were underpaid compared to other people who came in later, and they made the proper adjustments and everybody was receiving a fair salary. And that's when I said, I am never going to keep my mouth shut. Ever.
Fool me once.
But after that, I have become very vocal when it comes to money and protecting people with money, because a lot of people got a raise because I opened my mouth. And if I hadn't opened my mouth, who knows what would have happened. And so after that, one of my other jobs, I went to my boss and I basically said, look, I got a big mouth. I'm not going to bull beep around. I said, this is your wallet. So I'm guarding it and I will be very open and honest about it. And it's freeing. It is so freeing when you can be open and honest and have money discussions. I am just working so hard to provide that for as many people as I can on this planet. I am their money friend, their buddy, having that person who just will listen, because a lot of times we don't.
Listen without judgment too.
Exactly.
If I'm piecing together the stories that you're telling correctly, one of the first money conversations that you had that had true meaning was to fix an underpayment of your salary and a bunch of other people at the organization.
That was probably the first time where it was like, just go and do it. You'll worry about the consequences later.
Were there any negative consequences to that conversation that you can remember?
Yeah, I put more work on my plate because as accounting, I had to do the salary analysis for the whole company. But it was worth it. That was the only negative.
That's funny.
I was like, great, something else to do.
You're just making it another point. Taking a risk, having important high-stake money conversations can lead to a lot of good.
It really, really can.
And there's not that much downside. I'm curious, as you were learning to have these money conversations and you've become quite skilled at it, have you ever gone back and had money conversations with your mother?
With my mom, basically saying, hey, why was it like this when I was younger? Oh, blah, blah, blah. But there's other stuff. My mom suffers from mental illness. So there's a lot of stuff there that as a child, I did not recognize fully.
Well, I'm so glad you've been able to go back and talk with her and understand the full picture.
Oh, yeah. Now we laugh.
That can be really hard when we're not having those money conversations. It's so easy to jump to conclusions. We talk about that a lot on Money Tales.
Yes, absolutely.
Tell us more about this big purchase that you made.
That's where I was going, Sandy. I love it.
I know. As a child, one of our best memories would be when we could go to the beach. I love the beach. I want a beach house. And when I said it to my boyfriend, my love, I said, I want a beach house. And he was like, we can't afford a beach house. I said, oh, yeah, we've been living on a beach house budget for a year. So he was like, what? I said, yeah. So it was buying the beach house. And don't get me wrong, it's please everybody relax before you start packing your bags to come and visit Nina. I would say it's more glamping, but it is by a beach. It's like a 5-minute walk to the beach and we love it.
And you said that this purchase made you feel empowered. So I'm wondering if you could just say more about that, because it sounds like maybe you were delaying the purchase for quite a while.
Definitely, because, well, we had been looking for a while. Because of what had happened in my childhood, I'm very much a saver and I do not enjoy being in debt. There's that fine line because you can be too much not into wanting to be into debt where you're losing out on potential good investments. And I remember right before we were going to make that purchase was like, deep breath in. And I remember my boyfriend looking at me going, the number in that bank account is going to drop. Are you okay with that? And I was like, I will have a beach house. I'll be just fine. So what cemented it was that first morning in that house, zero furniture, mattress on the floor, waking up, looking at the ceiling. There are very few times in my life that I can remember that joy, that amount of joy when my eyes looked up and I said, I'm in my beach house.
Oh, that's great.
Because it was the first time that I felt like I was a grown-up and I said, I want this. And I made it happen. Money can be good. Money is just energy. It can be so wonderful when it can help you get what you want.
You also said money is fun, and I really love that, especially given your background and some of the mantra that happened in your youth about the fear around money. And I'm curious, in your role today, how do you make money fun for your clients?
The first thing we do is you do not use the word should with me. Do not talk to me about what you should have done or what you should know and you're a business owner. No. One of the things I explain to them is it's not their fault. We don't learn about it in school. I know this is changing, miss, thank goodness. But back then, so many of us, we didn't learn about school. You get to college, there's nothing where you have this formal education on how to handle money in the formative years that you need to learn it. So that's the first thing. But that being said, now, from this day forward, everything is your fault. Everything. So we do not use the word should. That's the first thing. Second thing, we realize that anyone who comes to me and says you're not a numbers person, I give you the hand in Zoom and the camera. No, because what I will show you is a picture of a baby in a little racing outfit standing behind the wheel of a car. Do you think the baby knows how to drive? Baby does not know how to drive. Okay? No. Baby grows up, baby learns how to drive. So you know what? When it comes to numbers, you'll learn it. Anyone can learn it. And the way I make it fun is I explain it in a way that makes sense to you. A lot of my clients are in the health and wellness industry. Cash is calories. A balance sheet is a health assessment. If I walk into your gym, the first thing you're looking at is me at that moment in time. You don't care what I did for what I ate a week ago. You're looking at me at that moment in time. That's a balance sheet. That's all it is. And when they hear it in words and examples and stories that they can understand, now it's like, okay, I'm getting it. Plus, you have to laugh. If you're working with me and you can't laugh, you're not my people. So we will dance, we will laugh. Cash is calories.
I love your analogies. Cash is calories since you're working in that business, and a balance sheet is a health assessment. It's beautiful. Keep it simple.
Nina, tell us about starting your own business. What was that like for you?
That was more out of necessity than choice. So I have the accounting finance background, and then I got into the health and wellness industry. Love that industry. This is my tribe. These are my people. Love it, love it, love it. And when we moved, I took a first job in a zillion years, not in that industry. And the thing is, I am really good at streamlining. If I come in to do your accounting, I get it streamlined. In the past with health and wellness, I was always able to get little side hustles. So if I was doing the accounting and I could get it done in 10 hours a week, I was starting like fitness programs, or I was teaching, or I was training. I always had more than one job at my jobs. So now I get into this one job. I get 40 hours of accounting down to 4 hours. So I'm done by Monday at noon.
You nailed the 4-hour work week.
Truly did. But I've got 36 more hours and I don't have anything. It wasn't really a great environment. I was very stressed there and it just wasn't working. So I left and my boyfriend looked at me and said, "You're really good at this whole streamlining thing. Why don't you just work for 10 companies instead of one?" And I was like, "How do you do that?" And he goes, "It's called consulting." I was like, "Oh." So I was like, "Okay, let's do it." 2 days later, I started my own business and I said, "Okay, not looking back." And now I know I'm totally unemployable. Oh, for sure. I don't think I could ever get hired and be an employee.
Because you wouldn't want to be an employee?
Nobody would take me. Look at me. I have a big mouth. I'm always honest. I tell you what you need to know. I'm like, who wants that? I can't play the corporate game. Oh, I can't. So yeah, I'm unemployable.
Since we talked about pricing your services, tell us, how do you price your services?
It depends. So here's the thing. Everyone's money story is unique. Everybody's needs are unique. What I do is I identify what I can truly help you with, because the thing is, sometimes I'm not the one to help you. So I have to find you the person who can. So depending on what we do, a lot of my people are on a monthly, I guess it would be a retainer as well. And so each month, and then they have my services for that month. And we clearly outline what those services are. And then sometimes I'll pick up special projects and those will be priced on a per project basis. Or if there's no end in sight, then those might be more on an hourly basis. My big thing is to make it work for you.
Take the hurdles away.
Yeah, make it easy. It doesn't have to be hard. That's the thing. Money doesn't have to be hard.
Nina, tell us about the money conversations you and your boyfriend are having today.
We want to travel. So it is about establishing a travel budget. And everybody's going to laugh at me. So he's calling them cams. And it's something to go on the motorcycle, which is just going to make it even louder. I don't know how or why, but that's been a very big money conversation on getting these cams and budgeting for these cams. So he is in charge of our weekly budget. So one of the more recurrent conversations in our household is, "Baby, I'm going to be over this week." And it's like, okay.
How do you guys navigate those situations as someone who is at ease and is a professional money conversationalist?
Here's the secret. And the thing is, I'm going to be so busted because he's going to want to hear the podcast, is he thinks he has like $250 a week, but there's a buffer because I know he always goes over.
So knowing each other.
So he's in charge of the budget.
The weekly
budget.
The weekly food budget. He enjoys cooking. He enjoys prepping all the meals. It makes sense. So he's in control of buying the food, what the ingredients are. If I'm like, I want sushi, he has to factor it into the budget and everything.
Sounds like it works out really nicely.
Yeah.
For you, especially, have all these wonderful meals.
I'm eating well.
So, Nina, how would you describe your relationship with money today?
It's so funny because it is the landscaper who looks at their own lawn. It's the mechanic who looks at their own car. It's the gyno who looks at, well, you know what? It is so hard to explain, but it's my buddy. It's so ingrained. It's so a part of my job, my personal life.
It sounds like you're very comfortable with money. It's just a present factor in your life and it's not a big deal. You don't have any hangups from the childhood messages that you received about not having enough money to spend.
I think I've moved past them, which is really nice. It's very freeing.
You learned how to spend money on the things that matter to you, and that was empowering, you mentioned. So as you look into your future, what are you trying to achieve?
I would love to have a business where there are 1,000 little Ninas, God help us all, but 1,000 little Ninas who have signed on to how I coach my people and can help share the love even more, even faster. And on a personal level, I would love for us to just be able to travel more and spend more time at the beach.
Sounds like a great goal.
Thank you so much, because it's so nice to be able to share this with you ladies. And I just want to help so many people, because financial wellness is very much a thing.
Absolutely.
You've gone through this journey where you've really gotten comfortable and you can see the power of money, using it as this energy and making it fun and exciting and breaking down the barriers that so many people have of not understanding some of the language and concepts and bringing that down. That's a special gift, Nina. Tell us, what's your next money conversation going to be and who's it going to be with?
So it's actually going to take place in about 45 minutes with a client of mine. So we will be talking all things money. We will actually be focusing on cash flow today.
That sounds exciting. Cash flow is important.
Do you have any good analogies or metaphors that you use for cash flow?
With cash flow, the easiest way I explain it is calories in, calories out. What are you eating? How much are you exercising, kind of thing.
Love it.
And if you exercise more than the calories you took in, you're going to burn calories. It's because this person's in health and wellness as well.
It's great. Bring it to life that way. Nina, would you share with our listeners, where's the best place for them to find you?
You can find me on my website, which is Taryn Financial. So TARYN financial.com. And then email is nina@financial.com. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Facebook.
I love the analogies and your storytelling. It's been really special to talk to you on Money Tales.
Well, thank you. It has been wonderful to be here. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Money Tales podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, share it with someone you think would benefit from listening. And leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Your ratings and reviews help more people find our podcast. If you're inspired to gain clarity and peace of mind about financial matters, don't hesitate to reach out to our team at Aspirient. Go to aspirient.com/start a dialogue. Or you can email Sandy and me at podcasts@aspirient.com. See you next time.